Morning, Falcons. Today's lesson in maths is all about percentages. We're going to be looking at what percentages are and how we can work out percentages of an amount. Now, I'm going to run through a PowerPoint today rather than go through individual worksheets, but all the work on your worksheets we will cover in the PowerPoint anyway. Right, so let me get the PowerPoint up. Okay. Just do it as a slideshow. Right, okay, so first of all, a percentage is a number out of 100. Okay, so percentages are always out of 100. So if you have a look at the first question here on your screen, it says complete a sentence for each diagram. So we've got a 100 square grid here. Okay, you need to write down how many parts are shaded out of 100. So the yellow is the shading, and you can see that there are 9 shaded. Okay, because each column has 10. So there are 9 shaded, and so that means that there are 9 out of 100, and we would write that as 9%. So instead of writing 9 over 100 or 9 out of 100, we can write 9%. And you can see this, let me just circle, this symbol here is how we write a percent sign. Okay, right, so the next part here, you've just got to do exactly the same again. So how many can you see shaded? So all you're going to do is count the squares, and please don't count them individually. You know that each column has 10, so count in tens and then count your ones. So we've got 24 shaded for question 1b. So 24 parts out of 100. So we would therefore write that as 24%. Okay. I'm not going to do the next one. It's exactly the same. Right, so here we've got some smaller grids. They're all still 100 square grids, and you've just got to write down the percentage. And then for the last one, this one here, you've got to do the shading because they've given you the percentage. Okay, so have a look, see what you can see shaded, write that down as a percentage. Okay, question 3. You've got to shade in, first of all, 15% in red. So you're going to shade 15 squares out of 100 red. Then you're going to shade, and I would do this right next to your 15%, your 15 that you've shaded. You will continue shading, but in blue instead. And you're going to shade 32% or 32 out of 100 squares blue. Now the question here is, once you've done your shading, what percentage of the 100 square is not shaded? So they don't want to know what 15% plus 32% equals. You've got to write down what is not shaded. Okay, so what is left white? Okay, now this is where it starts to get a little bit more tricky. So here we don't have a 100 square grid. We've got a bar, and our bar has 10 smaller bars within it. Okay, so 4A is saying, is 1% of this bar model shaded? Okay, so if we've got a bar that only has 10 blocks, that means that each block equals 10, okay, or 10%. Because to get a 10 to equal 100, you have to multiply by 10. So in this case, where they've got here 1%, it should actually be 10. Because if you were going to add all that up, it needs to equal 100. Remember, percentage means out of 100, not out of 10. So to make that out of 100, it would be 10, 20, 30, 40, and so on, all of your bars there. And that would equal 100. So this is incorrect. It should be 10%. Okay, so thinking about what we've just done there, the next question here is asking, so what percentage of each bar model is shaded? Remember, each block, each smaller block, represents 10%. So you need to count in tens to do this one. All right, so for B here, we've got 3 blocks shaded. Each block is 10%. So 3 times 10 is 30. Okay, so it equals 30%. Right, the next question here, we're talking about, this is problem solving. So this is using what you know about percentages to solve problems. So passengers are boarding a plane. The plane has 100 seats. Okay, so nice and easy because we know that we need 100 if we're looking at percentages. So we haven't got to convert anything. We've got 100 seats. So that's 100%. If every seat was full, we would say that the plane was 100% full. Okay, because it has 100 seats. So 5A says 10% of the seats are already full. Okay, so 10% means 10 out of 100. So that's 10 seats because there are 100 seats. So they want to know how many passengers are already on the plane. So if 10% of the seats is the same as saying 10 seats, and there's one person on each of those seats, then that is 10 people. Okay, 10 passengers. Now underneath here we've got 15% of the seats have not been booked. So how many seats have been booked? Well, if 15% of the seats, so 15 out of 100 have not been booked, then everything else that you've got left, and you can draw yourself a 100 square grid if you want, shade in your 15 and then work out what you've got left. And that's how many seats have been booked. Okay, so what you've got left over is what has been booked. And then how many passengers still need to board the plane? So you need to go back to 5A here, okay, because 10% of the seats are already full. So that's how many people are on the plane. How many passengers still need to board the plane? Okay, so you've got to look at both question A and B here in order to find the answer. Okay. Okay, Dexter has £1 to spend. He buys some stickers. So this is where you need to know money, and you need to know how many pence are in a pound. So if we work this out in pence, because Dexter's got 35 pence change. So let's not work in pounds and pence. Let's just work in pence. So he's got £1, which is the same as 100 pence. Okay, he's got 35 pence change. So 100 pence subtract 35 pence, okay, will tell you what he spent. Okay, so 100 pence subtract 35 pence is 65 pence. Okay, now 65 out of 100 pence. So he's spent 65 pence out of 100 pence. So how would we write that as a percentage? 65 over 100. We would write that as 65%. Okay, hope that's clear. Right, and the very last question that I wanted to go through with you was this last one, because we haven't got a round number here. It's not rounded to the nearest 10 to make it nice and simple. We need to shade 85% of this bar model. Now remember, again, this bar model only has 10 blocks. So each block is 10%. So you're going to shade, first of all, the 80 out of 85%. So we do that by shading 8 blocks, okay? So if you just look at the screen, and I'm circling, each of those blocks is 10%. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. So you're going to shade 80%. Now you've got another 5% to shade. Remember, each block is 10%, 5% is half of 10%, okay, so you're going to have to shade half a block. All right, obviously you can't compare your answers with a partner. Just going to go back to our meeting. Right. Okay, so I hope that was all really clear today. If you've got any problems, then please just ask, and have a lovely day. Bye, Falcons.